It's a bull. Good morning. Hey, what's up? This is Brian Kuzmar in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. I've got the live Deerfield beach cam up here today just because what a great view it is. 64 degrees, man. This is the weather we wait for every year. Look at that pair of shorts, nice little warm t-shirt. Well, maybe a jacket if you're a South Floridian. But 64 degrees and just absolutely lovely. It looks like a little wave coming in here. If it was a little bit bigger, I'd actually take a break and go surfing. Man, I need a break. Looking forward to this weekend, I'm sure, as all of you are. Well, before I get into gold and silver prices here real quick, I want to bring up one thing, which is going to be my new mantra for the year. This is my new saying, my new meme, mantra, whatever you want to call it right here. And it's something I kind of want to repeat over and over so that you folks understand it as well, and I'm sure most of you do. But let's pass this around to the people around us we love, especially around the holidays. You know, the most important thing we can do for ourselves, and I believe this quote is attributed to Timothy Leary, say as you will of him, but probably one of the most influential quotes that I ever read in my life as a young man. And it's made me kind of the person who I am somewhat today. And it's called "Think for yourself and always question authority." That is very self-explanatory. Unfortunately, I think we've lost a lot of that. I think we've lost a lot of thinking for ourselves and questioning authority. At least a segment of our population, half the population or more, has. They no longer think for themselves. They get up in the morning, they turn their CNN or their MSNBC or their Fox on, and they spend the next half hour letting someone else think for them. Letting the major corporate media think for them, letting government think for them, this is exactly what we got going on out here, folks. People don't think for themselves for the most part. I'm going to say even more than 50%. I'm not going to say half the population. I'm going to say a majority of the population no longer thinks for themselves. Again, they let corporate news, their favorite flavor corporate news, their favorite flavor politicians, in the two-party duopoly that we're suffering through. Pick your side, all right? That's more or less what we got going on, and that's who they listen to. People don't think for themselves anymore. And if you don't think for yourself, you certainly cannot question authority. It's pretty obvious because the authority out there, the so-called authority on news, the so-called authority on data and information, which would be your corporate media that a majority of the people listen to, again, their favorite flavor, whether it's a blue flavor or red flavor, they don't think for themselves anymore. And it's obviously who they're letting doing the thinking for them is obviously not questioning authority, because that's where the narrative comes from. So anyways, this is going to be my new mantra for the year. Think for yourself and always question authority. You'll be a much smarter person for that. Well, let's get into CCE prices here. And let me do a quick refresh here. And CCE is a kind of a private trading network amongst precious metal dealers and coin dealers. It's been around for a long time. The number one trading platform out there, in my opinion. Not perfect, but again, I think it's the best out there. And the larger players are on here. It's a subscription-only service, if you guys have been wondering for quite some time when I show these spots. And the reason that I like to show the spots here is because they are, my apology, static. It doesn't move all around, doesn't move while I'm talking, so it kind of gives me an opportunity to point out the highs and the lows and the overnight and where we're currently sitting. Some good strength in gold and silver, both gold and silver. I was kind of thinking they were going to try to, the year is not over yet, so we still got some couple days before the year ends next week. And right now we're sitting at 1790.57. Again, for all intents and purposes, we're at that $1,800 level. I know 1,800 is a psychological number for traders and algorithms and such, but for us common working folks, we're at 1,800, folks. So let me just say we're sitting at close to the 1,800, high 1790 range. And the range overnight was 1786 to 1795, very tight range there, $10 or so, even less. So kind of sitting sideways right now. Again, I'm curious what happens on Friday because it'll be a thinly traded market in gold and silver. A lot of people are not going to be working. In fact, I'm not quite sure, I should have looked, but I know the markets are open on Friday, and world markets are open as well, at least the Asian markets, I think, after hours, but probably New York will probably close early on New Year's Eve. I'm not sure. Anyway, no less, we still got a little time for them to monkey hammer these markets. I kind of get a sneaking suspicion that come the new year, January, there's going to be a lot of action one way or another, and I'm not going to say which way, but if the stock market takes a giant leap downward at the beginning of the year, like it did last year, again, it's hard to tell what's going to happen. You could very well see gold and silver prices go with it a little bit. Again, if it's a major move downward, tough to say, or they might stay sideways. Things are acting very strangely. Gold and silver are acting very strangely right now, in my opinion, especially this time of year. Look at the ranges on silver, 22.47. Again, I was kind of thinking we might see that a dip into that $21 area again before the end of the year. And as I said, Friday is a very quiet trading time. So, if it's going to get banged on COMEX, it'll be done on Friday, most likely, or COMEX market or the overnight Globex markets is where you're going to see the trashing in silver and gold. And again, if they do it, it'll be on Friday or probably Sunday night or Monday morning. That's just my opinion. Let's wait and see what happens. If the price stays about the same where we're sitting right now, high 1700s, again, for all intent and purposes, around 1800, that's going to be pretty cool to see on Friday. Again, thinly traded markets during the holidays is usually when it gets banged on COMEX or the Globex markets. Again, that range, look at the range in silver, kind of holding its own in a quarter, 25-cent range there, currently at 22.58. Platinum did touch that sub 900 for a little bit, as our chart guy suggested. He was thinking it might hit 850. Where are you, chart guy? I figured you'd be watching and commenting on you, mentioning your thoughts on what platinum was going to do as far as that 850 mark. We might still see 850 again. The year is not over yet, folks. So in these thinly traded holiday markets is probably the most likely time that we're going to see gold and silver get hammered in the COMEX markets, or again the overnight Globex markets. Nobody trades gold and silver in the Globex markets unless their intention is just to drive it downward. That's my opinion. Well, let's take a look at the overnight markets and see what kind of ranges we got going on. The green line, December 22nd, is right here, and it looks like the overnight markets in Hong Kong and London, we saw some upward trend. Thank you, Elmer Fudd. Trend upward, and we were looking at that 1795 mark in the overnight markets. Nothing really crazy, a $5 up or $7 up, but again, kind of getting a little hammered here in the New York COMEX markets downward in the morning, in that range that we've been talking about for the last 2 months, where most of the activity in gold and silver has been happening, to the downside mostly, but also to the upside, I've got to say. So this is where we've been seeing the gyration up and down, and again, mostly down kind of at the beginning of last month, but it's kind of holding its own right now. So again, currently sitting at this sub $1,800 level, right at that edge. It's going to just pop up there again at some point here soon. But like I said, holiday trading, it could really provide some surprises for us to the upside or the downside. Actually, I'm not even thinking we're going to see much of an upside on Friday. I'm going to just say it, in my opinion, and I could be really, really wrong. I think it's unlikely that we'll see any moves dramatically upward on Friday or all of next week. I think any dramatic moves we're going to see in gold and silver are going to be at the beginning of the New Year, if and when it happens at that time. Just my opinion. What I think we could see and likely see for the rest of the week, again for the rest of this year, during trading hours, is we're going to either see prices stay the same or they're going to get monkey hammered again because of the thinly traded markets during holidays. And where will they get monkey hammered? In COMEX, of course. COMEX, the crooked COMEX markets. Let's take a look at the stock and bond market. It was down a little bit this morning. We had the big up day yesterday. Today, not so much. You got to wonder, that's probably in the stock market. They're big buyers of the dips as well until they're not. And we are too in precious metals. We buy the dips, but we also know where we're headed with the price of gold and silver. Ultimately, it's headed to the moon. It's just a giant roller coaster ride to get there. But they're buying. They're probably buying the dip today. The retail people, I'm told institutional people are out of stocks and bonds for the most part, or insiders. Which reminds me of another article I just read recently, is that owners of companies, CEOs, think of Tesla, he just sold, $10 billion worth of stock, are unloading huge amounts of their stocks inside. I think they call it inside sales or something like that, when the CEOs Seeing this in a lot of different companies in the last couple months or over the course of the last year, which tells us, do these people know something we don't? My understanding is most buy the dips right now are done by retail investors out there. But that's always the case. The Wall Street, the big bankers and the big commercial players out there have always left the retail people holding the bag. I mean, that's, they're your friends until the market, until it's between them and you, or between them making a lot of money off you. Then the game has changed dramatically. Well, anyway, we're not here to talk about stocks and bonds, and I didn't even look at my little portfolio I put together as well. Where is that? Let's just kind of see how I'm doing on my faux portfolio, and it is a faux portfolio. I warn you, do not do what I do. I don't know much about, where is it? There's Alpha, Seeking Alpha. Let me just go over to Seeking Alpha real quick and look at Brian's faux stock portfolio, because as I told you, I'm not opposed to buying stocks and bonds. I got to admit, I've always been heavily my money has been always into my business primarily, which deals primarily in gold and silver, which has been worked very well for me because I also make percentages and I hold a good portion of my wealth in gold and silver as well. So works for me, has worked for me. I hope it continues to work for me. But let's take a look at where's my faux portfolio. There we go. Overall, I think the miners are down, the shipping stocks are down, which is kind of surprising this time of year. My food stocks, my COVID stocks are down. What's up? Auto and transportation. I'll show you what I've got in my little deals here. I've got Ford. I don't know enough about these companies, but Ford just seems like they're going to get it together when it comes to this electric F-150 and electrifying their vehicles. They've got a tight corporation there. I just don't know why they're worth that little money, but I'll find out in the future here. Let's see, miners. Miners seem to be a good representative, really good buy to me as well. I may, I've had some money in the Sprott. I lost a lot of money in the Sprott fund because my stupidity. I had it in there for over a decade and I got eaten up with fees and stuff. That's the problem with ETFs and SLV. SLV, PSLV, GLD, all these, is that you can't put them away for long term, folks. Trust me, you'll get eaten up with fees. Unless you have such a huge position, the fees don't matter. And I got to admit, I had a very small account. I opened an IRA back in 2011, 2010, or I forget when I did it. I'll show you sometime. Maybe I'll show you the page that I did it with. And I had bought SLV originally, and SLV was close, and it was not too long after SLV came out. I bought SLV and that's the only reason I did it. When I heard that, when I heard there was going to be an ETF in silver, I said, what the hell? Let me open an IRA. That's exactly what I did it. I stuck a little bit of money in there. It's not a big deal. It's a big deal to some folks, but now to me, it's not such a big deal. I stuck a little bit of money in there, and I bought SLV. I did okay with that. Then Sprott came out with his SPLV fund, and I said, wow, that's pretty cool, allocated. And I didn't trust SLV anyway. I guess a lot of us don't. Maybe for good reasons, maybe not. But I said PSLV, it's allocated and all that stuff. But what I didn't realize is my stupid, again, in my IRA is I just stopped putting money in the IRA because I figured, it's a sucker's bet for me because I really, as a business owner, the best place for me to put my money is really in my own business because it performs very well there. And most business owners that are doing okay will tell you the same thing, is that their businesses are performing better than stock markets and everything else. Mine is. My money in my business performed well, way better than if I had stuck it in the stock market or anything like that. So I just can't kind of keep putting my money in, kind of like Elon Musk does. I don't take a lot of money out. I don't take a big paycheck. I just let the money roll in my company and hope that it creates something bigger for me down the road. So I have something in my retirement, but where was I going with that? You see how I get a little off here on some things. Well, anyway, let me get back to what we were talking about here, which was my mining stocks. Oh, yeah. So anyways, lost money because I didn't pay attention to the fees that were involved with PSLV, and I'm sure the same thing would have been with SLV. And between the two, I'm still happier that I bought PSLV rather than SLV, but the funds ate me up, folks. So any of you that got SLV, PSLV, any of these type things in your IRA, don't just stick it in there and think you can forget about it. You will lose money over time with it, with the fees and everything. Again, unless you have such a huge amount, and the fees won't matter. But you do get eaten up with fees for sure. So miners, I think I'm going to get out of my PSLV here shortly, and just for fun in my little IRA account that doesn't mean a lot to me in the long run. I'm going to go and play around and try to figure out some good miners. Here's what I'm looking at right here. I know some of you folks play in the miners, and a couple of you give me some suggestions I looked at. Forgive me if I haven't put them up here, but I'm still mulling this over. So let me know what you think of the miners that I have up here, and let me know what you think of the top 3. Give me the top 3 on my page here. Again, this is not investment advice or trading advice. Please don't take it as such. This market is kind of new to me, and I'm not really used to screwing around with it. Social media, I put them on there because you know what? You don't have to agree with them and like them. And frankly, I can't stand Facebook or Meta platforms. I can't stand them at all. For my own personal reasons, the fact that they threw me off. What kind of, they threw me off, folks, for what was it, hateful and violent. And really all I did was just disagree with certain things about Critter 19, very respectfully, politely. I was never hateful or violent, but that was the excuse Facebook used to close my 12-year account. So in my opinion, I'm going to say it, close your ears if you don't like the F-bomb. Fuck Facebook, all right? But meanwhile, I still want to look at their stock and all that stuff in Google and Twitter. Well, hey, let me move out of this. I'll just kind of give you an idea of what I've been playing with, and you folks have been following me, know all about this. COVID stocks would be, for example, mostly the inoculation people. That's what I did. I just went out and looked and see. And if you look at, man, look how well these folks have done because of Critter 19 over the, if you go to, let's see, a max chart, basically, well, hold on. These guys have done the same. They haven't done too well over time, but a couple of these companies, the only reason they're doing extremely well is because, again, the Critter 19 really pumped their stocks up dramatically. Let me see if I can find one of those companies. No, not really. All right. Let me not go there because we are gold and silver. We talk about gold and silver, and you can find this stuff here on Seeking Alpha. Great website, by the way. Let's take a look in. I think I looked at the markets here, which are updating. Let's see what the tulip bull market is doing. And I know I'm just effing with some of you guys, so don't take it personally. I am not anti-crypto. I'm just, not a fan of it. I don't really think there's anything behind it, but no less. Just like I think casinos are cool, and I think if you make money at a casino and you know how to do that, that's fine with me. And if you know how to make money in Bitcoin, that's fine with me as well. I am a capitalist at heart, and as long as I don't think anyone's being harmed, I don't care if you go to a casino, Bitcoin, gold, or silver, the equity markets, it's your right to do as you please. But no less, I don't have a lot of faith behind this, and that's just my opinion. Doesn't mean I'm right. Let's kind of, and here, where are we at with, let's look at the not 1 hour chart, that's not fair, 1 day chart, 1 week, yeah, kind of up and down action. Looks like it hit, see, I couldn't deal, I thought silver was a volatile thing. Being able to deal with the volatility of Bitcoin would just drive me crazy, and the problem is I just don't have long-term faith in it. That's the problem. I know that governments and banks hate competition. That's why Bitcoin probably will not be made illegal in the United States, but it'll be relegated to like a very volatile money market, almost like a casino. So I don't really have much faith in it in the long term. I think if you could play around with this and make some money in the short term and look at it the way you do is sitting down at the card table, which is all about money management and knowing how to play the game, then why not play around with this? But meanwhile, that's only if you have extra play money, in my opinion. Again, this is my opinion. This is not a long-term investment. I may change my mind 5 years from now. So again, and I may not be right. One of the things I wanted to point out to you that I think a lot of people have forgotten about gold and silver. One of the biggest pieces of news to come to this year was not Basel III, how they were going to limit paper trading, blah, 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 blah. The thing in Basel III that most people missed and still don't talk about to this day is what they did to gold in Basel III. Gold was once a tier 3 asset. They made it a tier 1 asset. You know what is considered a tier 1 asset? U.S. Treasuries. All right, Treasury bills are considered a tier 1 asset. Tier 1 assets are the top of the class. All right, so I find it kind of interesting that banks, and the reason they have tier 1 assets and they separate them like this is because of the 2008 collapse. They want banks to have money safe money, money that is likely not to disappear, like some bonds, corporate bonds will do, and like some stocks could do or go bankrupt. Supposedly, treasuries are the safest thing to own out there. It's unlikely that the United States will default, or at least that's what they tell us, okay? So it's considered, treasuries have been considered a Tier 1 asset. But the fact that they added gold to be a Tier 1 asset, again, from a Tier 3 to a Tier 1 asset, is significant. And I think the question you have to ask yourself is, why did they do that, all right? And one of the things that is involved with gold being a Tier 1 asset is now banks have an alternative to what they hold as assets to protect themselves against another 2008 collapse. What is that alternative to treasuries now? It's gold. And also, for any of you folks that understand what Tier 1 assets are, Tier 3 assets, or you want to take the time to do a little research, let me know what other Tier 1 assets are acceptable by Basel. I know it's treasuries. They just added gold, but what are other investments, or what are other forms of capital that are considered Tier 1 assets? Please, if anyone knows that or wants to take the time to look, put it in the comment section today, and I will get to that in a question, or I'll get to my own question tomorrow. If I remember, I'll take the time to look as well. But this is by Silver Doctors. This is May 31st, 2012, all right? So this goes back quite some time, folks, that they made this. But under the Basel III rules, gold is a Tier 1 asset. And again, nobody really talks about this and what the implications of making gold Tier 1 asset is. I think it's significant because what it tells me is that bankers, since 2012, since the collapse, had realized that they had better have an alternative, especially other countries, other central bankers from around the world. They had better have an alternative to treasuries, so they're not just stuck putting treasuries in or saving treasuries in. And what did they do? They made gold a Tier 1 asset. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. And I know this has been around for quite some time, that gold's been considered a Tier 1 asset, but I never hear any of the talking heads like, on YouTube, and I'm a talking head too. None of the talking heads on YouTube really discuss it much, and what the implications were at this time, and how important that probably is right now. So let me move along from here. Good article, an old article, again, May 31st, 2012 by Silver Doctors. Gold to be declared a Tier 1 asset under new Basel III rules. The big new thing in gold, capital equals adequacy ratios. Good article to read, and again, I would recommend it. Let's take a look at gata.org. Not too much to talk about, but if you're a new stacker, and again, you old stackers know this, and I'll get through it real quick. If you're a new stacker and you're new to my videos and are not familiar with gata.org, this is, you got to have this on your bookmark bar. See the bookmark bar right here? Put it up here and make sure you read these articles once a week. We've kind of covered some of this, but for those of you who didn't see yesterday's video, this is an article that I'd recommend all of you kind of read. It's really short. Even the viewers that are familiar and have this on if you haven't read this already, gata.org exposed it all in 2021, but is it making any difference? I don't know what they feel, but I feel between gata.org, they're putting it, listen, I've learned a lot. I've spread this news around to thousands and thousands of people, You got to think that it does get around, and gata.org, if you're listening out there or anybody knows how to contact them, you're doing a good job, all right? I learned years and years and years ago when you first ran your Wall Street, gata.org ran a full-page ad in Wall Street Journal and asked, where's our gold? All right, that was the start of it. That got my attention. Since then, I think you guys have made a significant impact. It's like it just grows continuously. You started, and a couple people learn, and a few more people learn, and this word gets passed around. So again, if you're familiar with how the gold markets are manipulated, you don't need to read this, or if you think you know, well, some people think they know, but the fact is gata.org does expose how the gold markets have been and still are manipulated to this day. Great thing to have in your bookmark bar. Highly recommend that you read that. And again, if you're new, read this right here as well. Let's take a look at Zero Hedge today. God, I can really go off in some articles here. There is an excellent article written by VBL out here comparing the 70s inflation to today's analysis. It's a 3-part series. I'd highly recommend you kind of take a look at it. Part 3, how inflation was kept in check, really. I can't go over the whole article. As you can see, it's quite lengthy, and my videos can go into, without even reading articles, my videos go into a half hour and 40 minutes. So I'm not going to say it's homework, because nobody likes to do homework, as I've been reminded, but suggested reading, folks, is go and read this by VBL, Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. I think he did a really excellent job on that. And let me move down here and point out a couple things that, again, I don't mean to ruin the article by giving you the end here, but it's really not the end. A lot of good stuff in this 3-part series you need to read. So the similarities between 1970s and now are very creepy, states VBL. And let's go through the 13 of them right here. And again, I highly recommend you go back and read this article yourself from all 3 of them. Philosophical and political changes, MMT, ESG, authority and forms of capitalism, definitions of words like real, fact, and flux. That's a similarity. Again, these are similarities between 1979 inflation lecture that scared Paul Volcker and what we've got going on. Desire for more interventionist government, same as today. Remember, you're reading 1979 here, folks. I'm reading it to you. Unevenly spread prosperity caused in no small part by previous Fed policies for the past 50 years, all right? Substantial societal tensions witness the riots continuing today. And this is true. BBL, great analysis and great comparison between 1979 and what we got going on today. So, I think we're going to see some real big movements in society and economics here very shortly. Reflexive embedded societal expectations, stimulus will likely not end all at once. Overwhelming goal of full employment. Powell has said almost the same thing overtly, telling us inflation is the lesser evil, even calling it a mandate itself at one point. Excuse me, a quick sip of coffee here. I don't want to leave you in silence. I think I fell off the earth. Environmental policies added to the inflation. Do we think ESG is free? Does copper grow on trees? Entitlement diminish the work ethic. Again, folks, we're talking about 1979 here, and of course the stuff that's not highlighted but bold-faced right here is VBL's comments, all right? But these are questions that scared Paul Volcker in 1979. Entitlements diminish the work ethic, which we have similar today. Stimulus makes it easier for people to wait. The Fed had tools to stop the inflation but chose not to use them because it had been caught up in the social movements of the day. That's not unlike today. Powell have stated the mandates outside the real ones like social justice and climate change as their priorities. Not dissimilar to what happened back then. This is just underlines their concern with political optics rather than the real job, and worse, their policies do have the exact opposite of the changes that need to be effected, even while they pay lip service. And that's what I've been telling you folks for the longest time. The Fed is simply about lip service. Each Fed chairman, like Powell, for example, has just inherited a sinking ship from the other Fed chairman. Since 1913, every new Fed chair inherits the sinking ship. And their whole job is just to prevent the ship from sinking on their watch the best they possibly can. And that's why they pay lip service. That's why they jawbone these markets, folks. All they want to do is keep the passengers calm. If you watched my video yesterday, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Keep the passengers calm on the ship. So, and that's what every good captain does. So you can't say the Fed's doing a terrible job. They're doing quite a good job, considering, again, each Fed captain takes over from a prior Fed captain, and their sole job was just to keep the passengers calm, make sure the passengers are calm and not panicking, and try to keep the ship afloat. Well, let me move here. Fed is beholden to Congress. How could it stand in the way of the societal changes that Congress is attempting to enact, which is why we see the Fed echo current Congress mandates. And back in 79, understand what the appropriate level of full employment was, as it is now, where they do not know what people are trained to do in their accelerated virtual economy with a rapidly changing demographic. Central banks can't stop politically driven inflation. Again, this is 1979. Vince states similar today. They are politically driven now as well. What they say is not what they do ever. Good, excellent, Vince. Very true. Inflation was fed by high employment, deficits, money creation, all three boxes in check. So again, just wanted to go over that with you so you would read this. Again, not homework, just suggested reading, folks. Comparing the 70s inflation to today, analysis by BBL, this is part 3. It's a 3-part series. I encourage you to read that. And where we go from here, let me see here. I'm going to just go over a couple things here. has, again, not a lot to do with gold and silver. Really not too much at all, but did anybody watch this interview right here with Babylon B and Musk? You know, love the guy or hate him, I got to admit it's nice to see an unwoke billionaire. And again, I don't think there is any such thing as a woke billionaire. What those billionaires do is use woke people like George Soros and those corporate people. They use woke people to their advantage, and then as soon as they get what they want, they drop them like a hot rock. All right, and that's exactly what we seen last year with the BLM movement and the Antifa movements and all. Then is that the Blue Party and the people that were running for that particular office that year used those people, encouraged them to go out there and create issues and create problems. And as soon as they won the election, they forgot about them. You know what's happening with the squad. The squad right now, who thought that electing Joe Biden was going to change their entire world and we were going to be, you know, everything was going to go their way. Selfish bastards or bitches that they are, pardon my language, it's just my opinion. Again, I don't discriminate against male or female. I think they can both suck. So just my opinion. But or in between. So, but anyway, great article. Nice to see Elon mentioning some truths out there. In fact, I want to kind of sit down and just play the one segment here I kind of found interesting. And here we go. Let's just sit down and there we go. I encourage you to watch.
Well, you were pretty
video.
mean to Senator Warren, though, on Twitter recently. You slammed her.
Oh, I got an ad here. Hang on a second. I'll pop that ad out. I don't have premium on this computer. Here we go.
Man. Please don't call the manager on me, Senator Karen.
She struck first.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Right.
Yes, she did.
She called me a freeloader.
Yeah.
And a grifter who doesn't pay taxes, basically. And I'm literally paying the most tax that any individual in history has ever paid this year, ever.
Now, mind you, Tesla made, or Musk made a ton of money using government credits for his, you know, for the green government credits for his cars. So a vast majority of his money was made by gaming the California system on green credits. But you know what? If governments are going to make stupid mistakes and give out free money because of their stupid programs that really have not been effective at all, then why not people like Musk take advantage of it? But I just want to point out here that this man is also taking advantage of a lot of this stuff as well. But he's spot freaking on when it comes to politicians and what they're talking about.
And she doesn't pay taxes, basically at all. And her salary is paid for by the taxpayer, like me.
Could you even use TurboTax? Would that even work?
If you could die by irony, she would be.
Interesting comment that actually after I just said that, Elon just actually said that he also lives off taxpayers' money too. So you know what? That was a powerful statement. I think that just went over these guys' heads that were interviewing him, because again, because of his green, he's taken advantage of the green credit system. You know, the carbon credit system. He's made a fortune off it as well. But he just actually admitted it. If you just heard him, so you can rewind it yourself. Hang on one second. Let me see if I can just rewind that a little bit. And what's he say about Elizabeth Warren here? 1 second.
Yeah. He agreed with me. Don't forget to take note. Well, you were pretty mean to Senator Warren, though, on Twitter recently. You slammed her, man. Please don't call the manager on me, Senator Karen.
She struck first.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Right.
Yes, she did.
She called me a freeloader.
Yeah.
And a grifter who doesn't pay taxes, basically. And I'm literally paying the most tax that any individual in history has ever paid this year, ever. And she doesn't pay taxes, basically at all. And her salary is paid for by the taxpayer, like me.
Could you even use?
Did you see that little comment and look at that look on his face? He just realized just what he said. He made a lot of money. Tesla made a lot of money off the taxpayer through the green credits, through the DNC's ridiculous frickin' program. But no less, that's kind of funny, ironic as well. Great interview. I would highly recommend you watch this on YouTube. Elon Musk sits down with Babylon B. What's funny is that you know, I've never seen him have a conversation like this with any corporate news, probably because they don't want to hear it. But love the man or hate the man, I got to admit, I'm impressed with what he's been saying. He's not afraid to speak, but when you got that kind of money, why would you be? I don't think he's afraid of losing it either. Seems like that sometimes. Well, yesterday's video, let me move into it because we've got to end this video sometime here. The ship is sinking, and what I was talking about is similar to what I was talking about today, but even more in depth. What the job of the chairman of the Fed, what their job is, what the central bankers, what their jobs are. And their jobs are all about job owning. Their jobs are all about keeping up the fantasy and the illusion of a fiat system that is in failure mode and is going to continue to fail, which is like a sinking ship. You know it's going down, you just don't know when, and you don't know how long you can actually keep it afloat, but meanwhile you got to keep your passengers comfortable. And that's what I think we got going on with the Fed in a nutshell. Let me see if there's any comments that I can talk about here. And again, as I always say, I really thank everyone out here for their comments, positive, no, I won't say negative, not negative, but even if they don't agree with me, even if you don't agree with me necessarily, thanks for watching, thanks for making that comment. You know, I know it's your opinion, and again, we can agree to disagree on some things. For the most part, though, I don't see much disagreement with what I say. He wants me to hold his beer. Hey, Joey, bread and butter. Thank you very much. I'm gonna, you know what, just professionality-wise, I got to keep it down. I want to use it just for the sake of using it. But if I'm in a real passionate mood and I'm really on a roll, yeah, I'm going to throw some out there for sure. Thanks for watching, and again, happy holidays to all you folks. Edward says, Chris, Arcadia Economics also pushes the movement to hold the CFTC feet to the fire. All need to help. Agree 100% sure there, sir. I've been kind of filing my complaints, doing what I need to do. Again, spreading the word out here. And what am I spreading? I'm mostly telling people, think for yourself and question authority. That's what I'm mostly telling everyone. Hey, thanks for watching, Ed. Edward Horton, appreciate it. I will. Thank you, sir. And even when your ship sinks, your gold and silver maintain value even if it's at the bottom of the ocean. That's absolutely true. Chris, I'm glad you're feeling better. It's funny, my nephew just got the, he's supposed to show up for Christmas dinner, and my sister and her family all live in the same house, so kind of a weird thing. And he's vaccinated. I'm the only one here, well, I won't say only one, but I think I've not been vaccinated, and like a lot of my friends who have been vaccinated have been getting this thing. So I'm either damn lucky or that vaccination is not really helping my friends too much. Again, who knows? I don't know. Just my thing. But my nephew got it, and he's really got no symptoms hardly. He just feels a little shitty. Again, a young kid too, so we'll see what happens. But it's going to prevent him from coming to Christmas dinner with us, which sucks, kind of. Well, thanks for watching, Chris. Pinocchio, it's economy without silver. That is the message of the market makers all the time. Silver is down and less in the general market every day, every week. True, and thank you for watching, sir. William says, where can I find any useful information about paid subscription to the crooks? Anyway, we can find volume or outstanding contract. It'll be easy to see that Basel III kicks in, makes it any difference. Any idea what the last day of open contracts for December due to the holidays? Thanks. No, I don't, William, to be honest with you. I think that's, if you go watch Silver Doctors, they kind of put some of that information out there. Hold on one second. Who else? Someone was putting out the COT reports as well and some other things. But the information is out there for you to look, and thanks for commenting, William. I didn't know that, but I believe I did see that movie, the 1949 film, Kind Hearts and Cornets, and you're referring to the thumbnail that I used yesterday. That was a cool movie. I do remember it. I saw it when I was a very young kid. Scared the shit out of me, too. Thanks for watching, Mark. Appreciate it. Using a simple term for the crypto market, a slow rug pull for the U.S. dollar. Yes, Sierra Lega, and I really appreciate you commenting as well. And how about fixing the hole? That's a great idea, Brian, but that's actually too smart of an idea for our politicians in D.C. Too simple. You got to complicate it more and make it cost more money, Brian, before you want to fix the holes. Thanks for watching. Thank you for quality programming. You're welcome, Akeisha. I appreciate it, and thanks for watching and all that stuff. Just watch the Titanic. What a coincidence. The feds are paid liars, paid to lie to the public and keep them in line while behind the curtain of great odds operates to leverage accomplish. Yep, more or less. That's what we've been talking about for years here, folks. Keep putting the word out there, best seed orchid. Don't let these comics crooks get away with this and these what the heck is it? Big, commercial banks that are stomping the price of gold as well, as GATA.org points out. Just make sure you repeat good, valid content when you're repeating this stuff. Last thing we want to do is start going out there and saying, well, J.P. Morgan has still got that short position, which I see so many times that people are still reporting stuff that's not even true anymore. J.P. Morgan no longer has that giant short position. They got fined, they got in trouble for it, they close it out. But however, they do own the largest physical position right now out of probably any of the big corporations. And they did it on the backs of manipulation for years, and all they did was get a slap on the hand, a fine, and no criminal prosecution 2 times in a row already. Is something, again, we talked about yesterday. But thanks for watching. Well, I won. Appreciate that, I really do. And Alvaro, I see you're in the itsy bitsy taper camp. I don't know what that means. What's it mean? I'm in the itsy bitsy. Does that mean that I don't believe in taper, or I want more taper? Sorry, Alvaro, you got me confused there. Thanks for watching, though. And Silver Loving Lou, your comments have been removed for the last couple days. You know, it's weird, Silver Loving Lou, because when I look on our on this particular YouTube channel that I have, which is the corporate, the one that I'm producing the video on, and then I look at my personal private YouTube channel and look at comments, there's some comments I don't see. It's kind of weird. It's almost like YouTube really is and some of them don't seem, they're innocuous, so I don't get it. I'm starting to wonder if every comment shows up on my video. It depends on what page I'm looking at. It's weird, it really is. Thanks for watching. Maybe it's an algo problem. Maybe it's something personal. Or maybe it's something they're doing just to prevent people from commenting. I don't know. Thanks for watching, all you guys. Michael Matthews, too. Bitcoin, 700 Nitro Express is impossible to manipulate unless you have the market corner. I wouldn't say impossible. Like I said, BlackRock and these big whales are in it. It would be like saying impossible to manipulate price of silver and gold, which it's not. What they do is they all work in how could it be impossible to manipulate Bitcoin if you had a couple large corporations or large, especially now with the ETFs and now with leverage in Bitcoin, or if they're doing leverage, and they've completely corporatized the whole Bitcoin market. Yeah, they absolutely can. Just think of a couple of them colluding together to get the price down. Or get the price up. So yeah, I got to disagree with you, 700 Nitro Express. I think it's just as easy to manipulate the Bitcoin as it is gold and silver or any other markets. Bitcoin can't be counterfeited. I'm sure that's true. Can't inflate. I think the value can get inflated, overinflated, like the price, but can't be altered, just like gold and silver. I wouldn't, you only live once Bitcoin, but it's smart to have a position in Bitcoin instead of, hey, listen, can't argue with that. As I said, and you're watching my videos, is that I don't have faith in Bitcoin. I just don't. No one's going to convince me otherwise, and I'm sorry about that. But it doesn't mean I'm right. It just means that's my opinion. I'd rather have my money in gold and silver than Bitcoin for damn sure, because it has a track record. Bitcoin has no track record. And again, like a casino, and I'm completely cool with casinos, are you willing to lose whatever you put in there? And again, if you have a little position, it's not much, that's not a bad deal. But it doesn't have a track record. Bitcoin does not have a track record. Again, as I said, governments and banks hate competition, and you got the whales in there. There's nothing good in that market, in my opinion, 700 Nitro Express. By the way, love the name. I know exactly what it is, too. What a gun. But thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. I do appreciate it. Hey, Zipper Fix, glad you see you're watching. And yeah, yesterday's show, or the day before show, was nothing but F-bombs. So it was a tough one, let me tell you. I was very passionate. Great show. What are the best gold offerings today, available today? I'm going to answer that real quick. And I'm going to answer your question about brand safe models do you recommend. Maybe I'll do another video. I've done 3 videos on brands, on safes and stuff like that. As far as best gold offerings right there, I think the best deals out there are going to be like gold 1 ounce bars. They're at 75 to 80 bucks over. I believe you can get maple, gold maples at 85 over. Eagles are at 117 over. And then again, Eagle's going to be on the higher spectrum of a bigger premium. But they are available out there, and the premiums have come down. They were almost $200 at one time. And bars were still $80. So premiums on gold Eagles have come down substantially. The other thing too is I think there was more comments here when I gosh, I'm going to digress here. So, sorry about that. So the best deals in gold, I think, if you can get stuff as low as 75, 80 bucks over, that's fine. To me, paying over $100 when there's stuff available under $100 is not smart. So best gold offerings, I think, are Maple Leafs and gold bars right now for under $100, and KRs if you can get them, and other well-known products known in the industry. As far as safes go, you know, if you're going to buy a safe, here's the thing with a home safe, all right? If you're going to buy a home safe, you want to buy the very best you can. You're going to spend 10, 12, 15 grand for a used top-of-the-line safe. And I forget what rating they are. You can take a look. But, you know, you want to get a safe. Gun safes, even the best gun safe can be opened in 5 and 10 minutes. Not the best, but, you know, most good gun safes can be opened in 5 or 10 minutes. So definitely not a gun safe. As far as hiding your gold, I wouldn't even use a safe if you're at home. Because first off, if someone knows you have a safe, you want to wake up in the morning with a gun in your face, open the safe. What are you going to do? You're going to open it, all right? And again, that's if you got a tile guy or someone in the house I'm not saying tile guy, but someone's in your house fixing stuff, they see the safe, they tell someone else, you're screwed, okay? However, I like hiding things. Here's the thing with gold, maybe not so much for silver, but silver can be easily hidden in the house. You can take $1 million of gold, and I've done it, kilo bars, I got $1 million worth of kilo bars one time, and just for shits and giggles, again, I want to tell you where I brought it, but I had a toaster, a two-slice toaster. Yeah, I brought it home, all right? I had a two-slice toaster. I put the $1 million worth of gold next to the two-slice toaster, and I could have fit another $250,000 in that two-slice toaster of gold. So you don't need a safe when it comes to gold. It won't, and even if it melts, you're still going to find it. Just a great hiding place, and make sure you tell a second person where it's at. So if something happens to you, the new owners won't get a great, this wonderful surprise. I'm sure they'd like it, but again, hide it in your house. Just be creative and tell another person. That's my opinion. However, I'll do another show on safes sometime down the road. Hey, well, that's it. This is Brian Kuzma with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. Call me anytime at 954-493-8811 between the hours of 10 and 4, Mondays through Fridays. Remember, I'm a brick and mortar only. We only deal face-to-face. So if you don't live in my area or you can't come and visit me, I really can't ship anything. We don't do any online business or shipping. So we are a true brick and mortar face-to-face business. If you don't live in my area, I highly encourage you to keep that money local. We advertise to be APMEX, JM, and SD Bullion, who are the big 800-pound gorillas out there. Maybe not the cheapest online, but big gorillas, recognizable, and their prices are relatively competitive, okay? And I can beat them on their competitive, the stuff. I don't carry the overpriced junk they carry, so don't expect to come in here and buy overpriced shit from me. And again, I'm not calling it shit, but there's a lot of stuff that's just not bullion. It gets in the collectible realm. So I can sell you stuff for good deals. So the good deal stuff, I can beat their prices pretty easily on. And if you find a good local handsome coin dealer like myself, precious metal dealer like myself, you should be able to get some good deals. I encourage you, even if you have to drive an hour or two to do that. Well, that's it. This is Brian Kuzma with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. Signing off, and let's see what happens. Also, happy holidays, folks. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye now.